I consider Chicago incredibly beautiful, but it seems like everybody's been driving me to want to hate it. So Lake Michigan is incredible beautiful. They got the buoys out, and the buoys are so boats don't come in too close to the wall, and that's where people train for the triathlons. So you have these little ladders, and you can see it. It's that little orange thing. See the little orange ladder? And then they have the little buoys out here. And this is where the triathlon swimmers, or if you want swimming, but you're swimming along the wall, you're swimming parallel, so you don't get caught with riptides or anything. So you're swimming parallel to the wall. Most people are swimming out or coming in, and that's when rip current gets you. But when you're swimming parallel, like Kevin James mentioned, you're safer. And so this is how they do triathlon training in that. But you can do rowboat training. Truly, row teams can be out here. You got the ladder. You can bring the boat up here. And and put it in the water here. So there should be some kind of access at Oak Street Beach where you can park. And then you can put it on some kind of dolly system. Truly, a dolly system that you just pull along, and it could be battery operated, and then you get it to the point by there, and then you just drop it in the water. Truly, those things are fiberglass light. You just throw it over into the water, and then you hook things up. So I don't know where they're doing it, but you can have row teams, kayaking teams that can practice kayaking, row, swimming, all kinds of recreational training you can do. And so, things can get really good. And the more you incorporate the lake into things that, like rowing and that's not polluting, and it can be something where you have silver iodine paddles and so on that can help purify the water as they touch the water and lift it. They cause killing germs and parasites and viruses in the water. So you can even line swimsuits with them that are antibacterial. Swimsuits, antibacterial. And when they go into the water and you're swimming, they help sanitize the water because the suits are antibacterial. So when they touch, you can have swimsuits with copper. Yeah, copper linings and that. And you go in the water, and as you swim along, the suits themselves cleanse. And so you can create copper tone and maybe copper particles or silver particles in sunblock and that. You can figure out sunblock and make a product that when it goes in the water and wears off, that it actually helps clean and revitalize the water. Suntan lotion and sunblock that helps clean and revitalize the water. Truly. And the swimsuits help, the diving suits. Truly, the diving suits and that. So when they go in, they're naturally cleansing. We're naturally making things better as we interact, making it better for aquatic life, and they can measure it and so on. And you can transition into regular ones so you don't go overboard. But right now, we need a lot of cleanup, so overboard's way down in the future. But right now, everybody that goes in the water and goes swimming in that can actually be cleaning. The products that they put on and that can actually cleanse the water. And so they can put on, scalp caps, those caps that go over your hair and everything. And on the outside, it's antibacterial. On the inside, protecting you. But on the outside, cleaning the water. Even the goggles can be that way, and the earpieces. And so you have all these things, the nose clip. I mean, there's things that can be created that better the environment, and everything you touch, you're bettering it. And we have to do this because we've been destroying things for so long. Now we have to reunite the improvement. And so as we touch things, we focus on bettering them. And so think about doing this. Even car sounds, they can get into the right frequency that can stimulate tree and grass growth. Truly, the sounds coming from the cars that go fast, that make sounds, can get them into the right frequency pattern that can stimulate vegetation. So when they go there and they move around, and like the Harley Davidsons and that, they actually don't destroy and break down, but they give the right stimulation, acoustical stimulation to nature to help things, move along in a positive manner. So auto companies can get into the game with programming the sounds of the car where it benefits the harmony of the environment. Instead of destroying it, they can change it and they can still get the, cool sounds, but those cool sounds make everything better. So even with the lights, we can figure out what wavelength of lights are good for the vegetation and good for the insects and everything. Truly, studying them and figuring out what lights benefit them. Don't drive them crazy, but actually benefit them. Benefit the environment. These are photons, and we would study the photonic effect on insects and vegetation and see how we can come up with lights that better the environment. And so, again, we can figure out how we can get these things that create a better and more, harmonic environment. And the one thing, it's not the lights, it's the proximity that irritates me. So, yeah, the lights can, but a lot of times, most of the time, it's the proximity. And I spent most of my life with no one ever being behind me and tailgating me. Now I get it all the time, and it's very irritating. But the whole point is, we can figure out how to create these things, car companies, motorcycle, boat companies, and that, where what they're doing is not eco-friendly in that way. It's extremely eco-friendly, incredibly, because it's not doing any negative, that everything it touches, it's making better. Everything it touches is making it better, stronger, and that means the world is getting better, and that means everything around us, as I showed you, and they basically did the research for me, God bless them, because I can't, that the Earth gravitational field and the Earth atmosphere extends way out beyond what we thought it did, way out. The Earth atmosphere touches the moon. Our gravitational field and our atmosphere extends way out from the planet. So we're making space better. And as our satellites move on around, we can create satellites that actually make things better in space. We can have a satellite that goes around that's a big magnet that collects all space debris. Yeah, a satellite that as it moves around, and we can put them in different orbits, and all they do is a trash collector. So we can collect, and it start with a magnetic one, and then we'll have other types of collection systems. And as it goes around the Earth, it collects all the waste. And we can clean up all the space debris. So we can create satellites that can clean up the atmosphere. And then we can do that here with ships and that can go around and help clean up the atmosphere. Truly. That as they fly around at the different levels of the atmosphere, they help clean up and reneutralize and revitalize the atmosphere. So we can work with plane companies for exhaust emissions, that they can reformulate that part of the emissions of the exhaust is something that helps revitalize the atmosphere. Truly. So you can create emissions that create positive things happening in the atmosphere. So when the planes fly, they're seeding the atmosphere and making a positive impact on the atmosphere. So we can make emissions, we can reverse it and make them as a positive thing that make things better, even farts. So you can redo it and you have to study it, but emissions can be turned into a positive thing. So anyways, I mean, we got nice quiet highway. It's nice. And it looks nice and it's easy to see and so on. It's the only problem comes when the snow cover, because it covers the white on the white and the reflective gets filled with white. And so the only thing is, do they take the paint and the paint takes in energy during the daytime and radiates it at night so it stays warmer to keep the snow from melting, or it has a chemical reaction with snow that causes snow to melt. So maybe we can put a coating just on the stripes that causes snow to melt. So ice can't freeze or clog them, and in the reflectors, snow would naturally melt. So, again, keeping the highway nice. And then we're heading up here towards Northwestern, but how do you bring heaven to earth, right? That was the goal. Thy will be done on earth as in heaven. So everything you touch, you make more beautiful. And that means you're bringing heaven to earth. You're not destroying the planet. You're making the planet more beautiful in everything you do and every way you touch it. And that is angelic, right? And so we have to move away from societies where we're detrimental to each other and move to societies where we're beneficial, and we make that. And it doesn't mean you have to help people, but you're doing your own thing, and through doing your own thing, you're making things naturally better. And that helps them. You help them, they help you, but it's indirect help, not direct help. And you're doing your own thing, and they're doing their own thing, but each of you, when you touch things, you're making them better. So again, that's how a community competes against each other, one, but also improves each other, two. So improving is a secondary or a byproduct, not the primary product of your action, but a secondary product. We're talking competition. They're competing against you, you're competing against them. But the byproduct of the competition is you're making them stronger, they're making you stronger, you're making the environment, and you're helping each other out indirectly, not directly. Directly, you're competing. Indirectly, you're benefiting each other by cleaner air, cleaner water, and everything else. That way you can compete more fiercely. So competition gets more fierce. And that's awesome. That means everybody's getting stronger and can compete more fiercely. That means the NBA gets better, professional football gets better, baseball gets better, our institutions get better, our country gets better, the globe gets better. So that's fair competition. So people are doing it correctly. And as I said here, this park is wonderful. It's right here on the lakefront. And this area right here, it's a small stretch of all these houses that have private beach. So it's a wonderful little area. It's not that long, and it lives right here. It ends at where? Loyola University. And so I don't know what the future growth of Loyola. I used to go to Loyola. And so I'm a big fan of Loyola, and here's where the nuns are. So this is the, Mundelein Center. So this is where the nuns are. But it's a beautiful university. I don't know what their plan is, but I would assume that the alumni and the current students want to see that this university keeps on getting better and more prominent. So I'm a big fan of the Loyola Ramblers, but it stinks that they went in. DePaul's been horrible forever, but it'd be nice if the two teams at least made it to the NCAA. I mean, they're two Christian schools, and they should be, in one way competing, and another way trying to help each other out. But I used to go to school. This is where I studied the history of religion here at Loyola. And that's when we studied the Sumerians and so on and so forth, the first civilizations known to man, and the origins of religion and the different ways religion were used and so on and so forth. And here's a Christian university not afraid of the truth. And nor should they be. So that's why I said I had no problem going through and making sure, understanding, and trying to figure out, statements in the Bible, and trying to figure out motivations or statements and why they would make something incorrect. And what were they trying to achieve? Not it makes it evil, but there might have been a really good point at the time that they needed to convey something, and they needed to convey something that was a white lie. And that's what we call them. A lie that causes things to get better. Not any other form. White lies are lies that cause somebody or things to get better. Unlike you do to me, you're not doing white lies. You're not causing my life to be better. You're causing my life to be way worse. And that's satanic. That's why they call them white. They're pure. Their intention is to improve, not to suppress and hurt and torture and make suffer, but to improve. And they say that with a husband. He kind of tells a white lie. Do I look fat in these jeans? And he says, no, honey. No, you look fine to me. But it is a white lie. Yeah, technically you do look fat on them. But also, there's the subjective and objective, right? Objective is fat, yeah, but subjectively, to me, you look beautiful. So, there is the two. But the whole point is to help her feel a little bit better. But you also don't want her going out looking like a fool, thinking, well, and then they run into the wall. And so that isn't a good white lie. A good white lie continues on to propel the goodness continuously. So this goes down to the lakefront. Tapas. So that's Spanish. Spaniards went with small, it's not Latino, it's Spanish. So the tapas, the small plates, that's Spanish restaurants. So if you want to share food, which they didn't share food. They didn't want to share food. They made it so everybody gets a bunch of small plates. They call it side dishes in Korean, right? So down here, and people are on the beach. So anyways, you can see the lakefront. And so you can see the waves rolling in. And so looks beautiful. Looks like the ocean with the little white caps and everything. So it's very beautiful up here. It's by Loyola, but I'm going to leave the video here.